Remember how I said I had more spooky dreams to tell you guys about? If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's because you haven't watched episode 6 of this series. What are you even doing on this episode then, huh? It's Craft With Me episode. You're right. What episode is this? I think I filmed these voiceovers backwards. This is either episode 10 or 11. But hi, welcome back. Today we're building a little pumpkin patch. I was feeling a little uncreative for these builds, and I haven't been feeling Minecraft a lot lately, so I'm not really impressed by my build here, but it's Halloweeny and it makes sense for the video. So let's do it. Let's dive right in. This is a series where I talk about things, anything about me, about my life, and in this particular video, about my dreams. So in light of spooky season, we're going to be talking about another spooky dream that I've had. Just to run down really quick in case you don't want to watch the other episodes, which I think is crazy of you. I have spooky dreams that I feel are a little bit out of this world, if you know what I mean. A little bit paranormal. If you don't believe in that, enjoy it like it's a story then. I have a dream book where I write down all of the dreams that I really have felt an emotional connection to, or that have really confused me mentally, and I've debunked as not being from any movies or any outside sources that could have made me dream this. So without further ado, I'm going to read this dream in the form of a story just to make it easier. However, this dream is really strange and really confusing and complicated. I tried to make it as easy to listen to as possible, but guys, this one's a little bit weird. I do play several characters. There are several characters in this dream. So just try to keep up, while you're sweeping your room, cleaning your room, whatever it is you're doing right now. Just try to keep up. And let's get into it. For some reason in the script, I decided to write the date. Oh, okay. This dream is dated November 2nd, 2023. And the date is important because the dream takes place on Halloween, I'm pretty sure. So it's kind of weird. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I do know that the veil between the spiritual world and our world is very thin around this time. Let's get into it. I opened my eyes to see a woman sitting before me. She had long black hair that dusted the floor she sat on. She wore a black half shirt and shorts, exposing the tattoos that ran down her neck, her arms, and right down to her ankles. We were both sitting atop small, round, colorful cushions on the concrete floor of a basement. The room was dimly lit. My back was facing the staircase, and she maintained eye contact with me, drawing me in with some sort of energy. I could not look away from her. This is so weird, I thought. I'm scared. I don't want to be here. But still, I could not bring myself to look away. The woman began to sway on her cushion side to side as she spoke to me, still holding that eye contact. This is where I do my rituals. This is where I channel, she said. As she spoke, my vision began to go blurry, and I started to feel sick, nauseous. My head feels so fuzzy. The basement door swung open, and her husband called down to us. I opened my eyes to see him standing at the top of the stairs. I was now in her seat. I looked down at my arms to see they were covered in tattoos. I looked up again, and I was no longer sitting on the cushion across from the black-haired woman. I was the black-haired woman, sitting down in the basement alone. "Are you all right?" my husband says again, snapping my attention back to him. He had short, dark hair, and he too was seemingly covered head to toe in tattoos. I pressed my hands to my temples. My head was so foggy. "I'm okay," I called up to him. "I just need to channel tonight." He seemed to understand immediately because he just nodded his head and said, "Okay, I'm going to take the kids trick-or-treating. Just hang back here and let me know if you need anything." He smiled and closed the door. I sighed and tried to adjust my seat. I closed my eyes once again, but I felt like I was on a boat in the middle of the ocean. I was so dizzy, my brain was so fuzzy. I felt as if I was going to faint. When I opened my eyes again, I was no longer covered in tattoos. In fact, I was in a completely different outfit. I was dressed in bright red stockings, fiery red heels, and a burlesque type of outfit with a tight, hot red corset. My hair was bleach blonde and in some sort of half up, half down hairdo. I touched my head again, feeling so foggy still. This time, there was no furniture in the basement. It was cold and dark, and I was sitting cross-legged on the dirty concrete floor. What am I doing down here? I thought. I looked towards the basement stairs. They were completely different. They were covered in a fuzzy yellow carpeting. I forced myself to stand, feeling weak, and began to walk up the stairs one at a time. There was music playing or a loud television. The closer I got to the top of the stairs, the louder it became. I opened the door to a terribly messy kitchen. Every inch of surface area from the countertop to the top of the fridge was covered with loose papers and random junk. The walls were coated in a peeling old yellow wallpaper, and the fridge was dressed head to toe in pictures and magnets. I stood in the basement doorway, taking all of this in. Where am I? Two little boys in costume rushed past me, almost toppling me over as they chased each other around the tiny apartment. I stepped out into the kitchen. There was an archway that led to the living room where I could clearly see my husband sat on a green couch smoking a cigarette with a beer can in the other hand. The glow of the TV shone over his body. His white t-shirt was soaked in sweat. He looked nothing like the man I saw at the top of the stairs before. I made my way to the living room with every intention of asking this man where I was, but something in me took over, and instead I asked, "Honey, do you remember you said you dropped the kids and I off at..." A little author's note here. I don't remember the location I'd said in my dream at all, but I did say location. Okay, this is a common theme when it comes to my juries, you guys. This is a common theme. I don't remember any key detail. I truly do need to get better at being conscious and aware, and I'm sorry for yelling, aware and taking in these important details while I'm dreaming. It wasn't necessarily a direct location. It was more to the movie theaters or to the mall or to this event. It wasn't a specific city or state or anything. Okay, I don't remember the location, and I'm so sorry. Let's move on. He stood up from the couch shouting words at me that I can't remember, but they were pretty hostile. But still, he grabbed his keys and stormed out the door. This is the part of the dream that gets really blurry. I can't remember how we got to the next location or really what the next location is. It's gonna be hard for me to explain this because I am very confused by the ending of this dream and I'm not sure what was happening. After the conversation with my husband, I all of a sudden ended up sitting in a movie theater by myself with no kids. Sitting in this theater seat, I just kept asking myself, what am I doing here? Who am I? What's happening? Is this my life? Is this real life? I definitely was more present in this dream than I have ever been in any of my dreams before. I think this dream is newer than the other dreams I have shared with you guys. So that might be a reason why I am actively trying to take control of myself in the dream. Let's continue. The movie screen faded to black. I don't even know what I was there to see, but everyone began to file out of the theater. I followed, still in my hot red heels, mind you, in this burlesque outfit. Everyone else around me seemed to be in costume as well, but I felt so out of place and overexposed. I walked out to this dark parking lot where my kids were running wildly around. I don't know if this was some sort of like mall trick-or-treating or what have you, but something weird was definitely going on here. How did I wake up in a movie theater and suddenly I'm in a dark parking lot with a bunch of people who are in costume? My husband and the car were nowhere to be found. I waited for a little while, watching my children play with other costumed kids, when a woman walked up to me. She looked at me as if we were friends or neighbors, but I couldn't recognize her. Your husband told me he was going to the store. I can't remember the name of the store, but the way she had said it, I felt like I knew what she was talking about, because all of a sudden I was very angry and I started storming down the sidewalk, leaving my children behind in the parking lot. I crossed my arms. It was so cold out. Why am I wearing this crazy costume? My heels as I marched down the road. I finally found myself outside a small, quaint-looking store. The sign blared closed, but through the window I could still see a woman sitting behind a desk. I ripped the door open. It was unlocked. The woman stood up quickly. "Ma'am, we're closed," but I marched toward the back of the store enraged. She complied, pressing a button that revealed a secret door, just like those speakeasies you used to see in those old movies. The door opened and I made my way down a dark hall, opening every door to every room I found, until I saw my husband in a private room with another woman. "How could you do this to me again?" I screamed. He looked annoyed and just said, "What did you expect?" And then I woke up. Okay, you guys, that was a pretty crazy story. I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna take it back to the beginning. To this day, it still gives me the heebie-jeebies when I remember the woman from the beginning, the black-haired woman with tattoos. The way, I don't really have the words to describe the way she was like swaying side to side. She was like almost like, she didn't really look like she was swaying. She looked like she was like phasing in and out of reality. Like she was like blinking almost. You guys, she was almost blinking. That's gonna sound quite crazy, but I promise you it was even crazier for me to witness. I was myself in the beginning of the dream. the way that she just kept eye contact with me, it still gives me the creeps a little bit, because it's almost like she knew that I was in a dream, or that we were both in a dream. After she had done this ritual thing, I was really weak, really confused and out of it and fuzzy, and I felt like fainting almost the entire time in the dream. And I wonder if my energy was being used to show me the blonde woman's story. Another thing I'd like to talk about is I have never seen a house like this. I've literally never been in a basement that was shaped like this. Usually in my normal wacky dreams that don't really mean anything, it'll be a mixture of my house now and my childhood house, or sometimes it'll be a mixture of my house and my old high school. This took place November 1st into the 2nd. For those who don't know, the veil between the spiritual world and our world is very thin during this time. A part of me does believe that the blonde woman in red was a past life of mine. I believe that your struggles come from unfinished dealings in a past life. I do struggle with extreme insecurity and anger, which is all felt throughout her story. This is just me theorizing on my own dream. Maybe the bright red costume was to symbolize anger, and I was very overexposed walking around in public, maybe to emphasize the fact that I felt embarrassed and insecure. That is all, folks. Feel free to call me crazy in the comments. All comments are good comments. And like the video, whether or not you enjoyed it. And please subscribe to my channel for more crazy dreams and conversations on my Craft With Me series. If you guys have dreams like this, do tell. I upload every other week, so you can catch episode 12 soon if you just subscribe. Give it a like, maybe notifications, ? Thanks for watching. Bye.